Hello and welcome back to the Shared Practices podcast. This is season 4, Case Acceptance, episode 39. Man, this has been a wild ride of case acceptance. I apologize to the endodontists that we have lost along the way. My buddy Hunter, shout out to Hunter, said, I can't listen to your show right now. He's like, I just don't care about case acceptance. I'm like, that's the advantage of being an endodontist. Your patients come in pain or knowing that they have an infection in their face and they need it taken care of. So apologize to all of the endodontists that we've lost along the way. But for the rest of you, hopefully this has been really helpful. Hopefully this has been a source of knowledge and growth for a skill that is hard. It's hard to talk to patients about fees, about the larger cases. And I've learned a ton. I know I still personally have a lot of growth to do in this area. I saw my first patient in 6 months just this week, and it's for an all-on-4 case. And so we did the initial models and photos and talked to him about his options. And I'm just excited. Like he hasn't accepted or not yet, but I'm kind of doing all the treatment planning and workup for that. And it's just so good to get chairside again. So it's been a crazy journey now that I'm doing Army recruiting, but I'm finally seeing patients again and very, very excited to be chairside. This episode is from the live PDA event. So Productive Dentist Academy with Dr. Bruce Baird and Vicki McManus. They came and taught here in Indianapolis. Phenomenal training. I love Productive Dentist Academy. They are just good people with the reps and the experience, and they've done this themselves over and over and over and over. And Bruce has the very much the credentials to back up what he's talking about and has practiced it as a high-producing productive dentist himself. So my kind of thought of what Productive Dentist Academy and Comprehensive Finance were changed by this interview. Even after we did the whole course, this interview gave me even more insight into kind of the possibilities there. But highly recommend anyone take the PDA course. And it's something that I want to go to again in the future and inspired me to want to be more productive as a dentist and track that and measure that and get better at it. So without further ado, here we go with Dr. Bruce Baird from the Productive Dentist Academy. Maybe you've thought about switching to Blue Sky Bio's implants, but you're not sure because you haven't had the chance to try them out in person and see for yourself. So I'm the type that when I'm on Amazon, when I'm on anything, I'm going to look at the reviews. I'm going to read the reviews, the good reviews, the bad reviews. I want to know exactly what I'm getting myself into. So I went on the 365 Digital Dentistry Facebook page and found a post of someone who said that they were finally looking to switch to Blue Sky Bio's implants. And someone asked on that thread, what makes one want to use Blue Sky Bio's implants over other clone or compatible systems? And what do they offer that larger name brand implants don't offer? I loved the responses here. This was awesome. One of the first responses was, better implants, better people, cost savings. Another one said, easy ordering, cheaper, cross-compatibility, innovation in the DIY CAD guided realm. Wade Pilling said, in my opinion, better service, better pricing, better cutting-edge technology, better implant design, better platform design, and a model that is kinder to general dentists. And then Baron Grutter said, my reason for liking the Blue Sky Bio Max line over Nobel, number one was cost, $99 to $135 for the implant. Number two, 30% stronger platform design. He's never seen one of the Blue Sky Bio implants flower or split during placement, whereas some of the narrow platforms of other brands have done that in the past. Number three, universal platform with a much better inventory, so a lot better options. Number four, Dr. Sheldon and Albert, who are experienced clinicians who will help with nothing in return. So fantastic support at Blue Sky Bio. Number five, ease of ordering. And number six, no rep pressure. And he said, these reasons are not necessarily listed in order of importance, but in order of most significant difference. So you can see that these people who have been placing these implants, they love the cost, they love the convenience. In many cases, they believe they're actually a superior implant To try out your first set of Blue Sky Bio implants, go to blueskybio.com/store and check out their 6 lines of cutting-edge dental implants and compatible parts. Okay, I have with me today Dr. Bruce Baird. I am here with the Productive Dentist Academy in Indianapolis for an amazing event, and we're about halfway through. The U.S. Open is going on right now, but Dr. Bruce Baird is willing to do this interview. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
This is a lot of fun, and we had some fun. You shared some Army dentistry stories during your presentation today, so thank you for your service.
You bet. I loved being in the service. I loved it. I probably would have stayed, but I was a Texas boy, and I know I'd be going all over the world, so I just wanted to hang close to home.
You went to Korea for a little bit?
I did, okay. Right out of dental school. Okay. I was 12 weeks out of school, and I was on the DMZ pulling teeth.
Yeah, that's an experience.
Oh, my gosh, yes. It was an experience, but I tell you what, I learned so much, and totally valuable time spent in the service. I really enjoyed it. When I went back to Fort Sam Houston after going to Korea, I got a chance to kind of be the oral surgeon in a 28-chair clinic.
That's so awesome. Yeah. That's so much fun. I love pulling teeth, and
I tell you.
Those guys that are fresh out of training, they need a lot of work. It's just getting it done for them. It's good.
It is. I couldn't have enjoyed it anymore. I had great people I worked with, and there were a lot of great docs there that I got a chance to look over their shoulder when I was early on in practice. And you get to pick up speed, you get to do all those things, and then when you're ready for private practice. Then you got to learn how to communicate with the patient and get them to say yes to treatment.
That's why we're doing this season, because for both me and for our listeners, we tend to have listeners who are new grads, new to private practice,
right.
New to practice ownership, and this is a skill that's not, we all think maybe we're decent at case acceptance,
right?
But we could all do a little bit better. But I thought it was hilarious today. You told that story that in one of you went back at your old Army documents and you found a document from an award, or what was it?
It was an Army Commendation Medal, but then it was like your evaluation that they did,
like your OER or whatever. Yeah,
Officer Evaluation Report, and it just said, Dr. Baird is truly a productive dentist. And it was so funny. And I showed it to Vicki. She started laughing. She said, you were a productive dentist even when you weren't charging people. But I don't like just sitting around. And when I'm doing stuff, I like to do it. I like to, and it's not about how fast we do stuff. It's just when I'm there, I want to be doing dentistry. I don't want to be sitting around talking and visiting, unless it's to the patients.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy. So it was fun.
The other story I loved was the story of your OIC, your clinic commander.
Yeah.
So tell us that story.
Amazing. Paul Cryer. He was from just outside of Atlanta, but he was a new full colonel, who was our commander at our dental unit, and he had just gotten there, and he and I just hit it off good. He liked golf, he liked tennis, he was a good athlete. He was 44 years old, which is 20 years younger than I am now, which really makes me feel really old, because I thought he was old back then. And but he was just a man's man. He was one of those guys that, all right, Doc, here's what we're going to do.
Right.
And he worked as hard as I did. He could have been in meetings all day. He could have just jacked around, but he knew our Dentac was the last rated dental unit in the United States Army. And in one quarter, with he and I doing 90% of the work, a young captain and an old colonel at 44.
Yeah.
We went from last to first.
That's
in
awesome.
one quarter. So it was like, and of course he got the accolades, and I got a chance to go TDY anytime I wanted, anytime, anywhere. I was at Walter Reed. I'd go to Presidio. I got a chance to go to lots of courses just because he knew when I was there, I was going to work my butt off.
Yeah.
And we were going to take care of people. So,
well, your arrangement for your daily schedule didn't hurt either. I thought there was some motivation baked into that. So tell us about what time you'd get in and what time you get off.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning. We would start it up, and usually most of the other, because I was a young captain with 28-year clinic, and most of the guys were lieutenant colonels, majors, and they all had meetings to go to. None of them were doing much dentistry. And when they did, they just fiddle-farted around for most of the day.
You can sometimes in the military. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, they did that. And so what I would do is I literally, he told me, he said, all right, whoever sees the most today wins. And, I can't even remember what the prizes were, but it's just I would beat him, he would beat me one day. I mean, we'd see 46 patients, 61 patients,
That's a lot.
I mean, of course, we had 8 treatment rooms with expanded duty, and I'm prepping teeth, but I'm having a ball because I'm not even thinking about lunch, and I hate to think about what time do I get off. That's just, I've never been a guy who, I've been fortunate in dentistry. I have never looked at a clock. I've never wondered what time it is, and I wish it would hurry up and get here.
Right.
I've always just worked really hard, and then all of a sudden I go, gosh, it's 5 o'clock. But back then, my boss, as soon as we finished seeing all the emergencies, he'd go, all right, you got your sticks? Talking about my golf clubs. And he says, let's go. And I'd throw him in the back of his car, and we'd drive up to the golf course, which was less than a half mile away.
Right there on post.
Right there on post. And we'd go play 9 holes. And we'd be done right at 4:30, 4:45, and I'd head home.
That's perfect.
So we had the perfect scenario. He realized that reward was a wonderful motivator for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially getting to play golf. And we'd probably play 3 times a week. And his bosses weren't bothering him at all.
Right.
Because
he's putting up the numbers.
He was putting up the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. So that was awesome. I loved it.
I loved hearing that story, that even before Productive Dentist Academy was in existence, that was getting on your OERs.
It's weird. It's weird. It's a small world. It's, but it is what it is. You are who you are. And I've always thought about being productive,
Well, one of the things, so when I first came across your work was when I was working for Howard Fran in dental school as their student intern, and we had access to all of their online courses, and I think he gives dental students access to their courses. And I remember watching, I can't remember if you had just one or a series of lectures, but it was one of the gems of the courses on Dentaltown. And the thing that stuck out today as well was that you talked so much about putting the ownership back on the patients for work, failing for all these different reasons. And I thought that was really interesting because we're talking about productivity, we're talking about case acceptance. Why does that play into productivity and case acceptance?
Well, the truth is, if you can give a patient the hope of having dentistry done that'll last the rest of their life, then it becomes many times on them. And they're frustrated. Patients across this country are frustrated by dentists doing one tooth at a time and saying that I'm doing a full exam, but really not doing a full exam because the insurance companies having them in their hip pocket so bad that they're just basically falling prey to the insurance companies by saying, yeah, let's just do one this year, one next year. But that's not really helping patients.
Right.
And when patients really feel like you're on their team and that, it makes sense that if you're a heavy-duty grinder that you need to wear a night guard. It makes sense that if you have gum problems and it's part of your genetics or part of your past history, that if we do a new history and we have new ways of thinking, that we have a great chance of keeping your teeth. And if you're on all these medications and we can give you some rinses that neutralize acid in the mouth, that these are all things that caused what God gave you to fail.
Right.
A lot of times it's their habits. It's drinking the Dr. Peppers and all that. So I want them to realize where the buck stops. And the buck doesn't stop with me. It does for me educating them. And it does for me making crowns with the best margins I can and the best occlusion and that type of thing. But whether it lasts or not, most times, is up to whether the patient's following up on the recare, if they're showing up for recare, if they're wearing the night guard. If they look at you with that kind of acquisitive look when you ask them, are you wearing a night guard? That means no, they lost it. So, but we hold them accountable. We said, I know, are you really wearing it? Because the reason I ask them that, are you really wearing it? That's a tough question to ask somebody, because you're saying, are you lying to me? But the truth is, I care enough about you to want you to wear it so that you won't lose your teeth.
Right.
Or using your carry-free, I've already used it, I don't need any more. Well, you only have a 3-month supply.
You must not be using it.
Yeah, you're not using it. Well, I don't use it every night. Well, you're going to get halfway results then if you're using it every other. You're going to get 50% of the results.
Right.
So, but I quit taking responsibility for failures. I mean, That's not to say I haven't done a bad crown or a bad bridge or something like that. But when I look at it and see it on a bite wing in hygiene later on saying, who the heck did that? And they say it was you. And I go, crap, let's redo it.
Right.
Because that's just, you see the crown. I take pre-cementation x-rays. I don't take pre and post. And sometimes we'll see it later down the road, and I just remake it. It's just not the end of the world. And I don't charge them a penny. I don't even think about it.
Right.
And they go, well, it's not hurting. I go, you know what? It's still going to bother me if we don't do it. Let's do it. So that's really the way I think.
Well, the thing that I just thought was super interesting was the fact that by pushing the responsibility to the patient, and you talk about all these risk factors and kind of the different ways that things can break down if they're not taking care of stuff, it takes the stress off the dentist. Because that guilt, that like high standard that we hold ourselves to of I'm going to need, it has to be perfect. It has to be just right. And if anything fails, it's my fault. You kind of live in that state, and it's
just not true.
It doesn't feel good, and it's not true. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just not true. And that pressure's put on us in dental school.
Yeah.
Or, you'd be like me and have a Marine aviator dad. Everything had to be perfect, and that's okay. I learned a lot about perfection. I learned a lot about working hard. I learned a lot. My dad taught me a ton about work ethic and about a lot of things. And I'm thankful, but he was tough. I mean, it was, my way or the highway. And so when it got to talking to patients for 15 years, I thought it was stuff I did because I was programmed in dental school. And then, in dentistry, you start talking to other dentists. Yeah, we redid that. This didn't work. Insurance companies are redoing crowns every 5 years. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. I mean, a crown should last the rest of your life.
Right.
Why wouldn't it?
Right.
Because that's my question to a dentist. Why wouldn't your crown last the rest of your life? Tell me the reasons why it wouldn't. Well, then solve those issues. If you're not going to solve those issues, then you're just an engineer. You're just a piecemeal doc that's just doing one thing at a time. You're not somebody who really gives a shit about the patients. Pardon my French.
Right.
You just care about that one crown.
Right.
And you know what? I don't look at it that way. If I'm going to do the work, I want it to have a shot at lasting the rest of your life. Now, I've had people say, I'll never do that. You saw one case I talked about today. He said, I'm not going to quit dipping. I said, well, you might lose those teeth.
Right.
But that's going to be your deal, not mine. And so he's okay. They still got him. But I'm not on the hook for it because I explained it to him. I handled the objection before it became an objection. So those are the things I think we don't need to take responsibility for other people's stuff. We just don't have to.
Yeah.
And we can be successful dentists and have a successful career and actually have patients just clamoring to get in to see you because they know you're the best and they know you're more expensive than anybody else. But there are a lot of people out there that want the best and they don't mind paying for it.
Yeah.
So those are the choices you have. You can go in a lot of different areas in dentistry. But I like the fact that it doesn't really matter if they have money to me. I help just as many migrant farm workers that are in our area as I do corporate execs. And I don't care which one it is.
Right.
I'm not going to change my treatment plan. I may change the speed at which we do it, but there'll be financing available for them. There'll be other things available. I think, access to care, the real access to care issue is about not having affordable payment options, not necessarily having, the patient go, oh, well, it's because they can't afford it.
Right.
I mean, plain and simple.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other part that really resonated with me was that you're resetting patient expectations. And, by putting the ownership back on them, it takes the stress off of you. But the question I had for you while you were, or that I was thinking about while you were lecturing is you're setting the patient's expectations lower across the board. You're saying, this could last a lifetime if you take care of it. If you don't, here's all the things that could go wrong.
Right.
It almost seems like that would work against you in case acceptance. So telling the patient, lowering their expectations. So how do you balance that? How do you lower their expectations but not shoot yourself in the foot with case acceptance?
Case acceptance, really when people understand, because again, they're frustrated. They've already had dentistry fail many times.
Right.
They've had crowns fail. They've spent money. They've spent money that they felt like they never really, and it was easy for them to blame the dentist.
Right.
Because you hear it. I went to the dentist, and then that guy, and it broke, and that tooth broke. Then they did a root canal, and that one blew up, and they had to pull that one.
Right.
And then we did this. And in other words, they're blaming the dentist for all their failures because no one ever explained to them why they're failing.
Right.
And now what I do is I turn it right around on them. And once they understand, and this is very interesting, I can say the same thing. I'll tell a story, but when it's up to me to make my decisions now, then it's up to me.
Right.
So when I tell the patients that it's up to you, they can either take that for what it's worth and say, yes, I want dentistry that'll last a lifetime.
Right.
I always tell them, I don't want you to waste money here. I just don't want you to waste money. But if you're not going to wear the occlusal guard, you're not going to do that stuff, the dentistry is not going to last. If you still want to do it, I'll do it. But you and I both understand where we're at.
Right.
Brad Bale, who is Bale Duneen, they do the heart, beating the heart attack gene. I went with Brad, and because I've had some heart issues, Brad goes through all of my genetics. He goes through everything. He goes step 1, step 2, step 3, just like I do with patients.
Sure.
All the way through the scenario. And he goes, Bruce, I've given you all the information you need to never have a heart attack or a stroke. Never. If you follow it, that's amazing.
Right.
If you don't, shame on you.
That's powerful.
He did not take that responsibility. He said, shame on you. It's the same in dentistry. It's the same. And I thank Brad for that every day because as soon as I heard him say that, I said, that's just what I tell patients.
Right.
I don't want you to waste your money. Here's the deal. You can have dentistry that lasts a lifetime. It'll be beautiful. It'll be awesome. Yeah, you're going to love it. But you got to do a few things. You got a mouth like a snapping turtle. You're biting at 1,000 pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
You're breaking shit. You broke the bridge that so-and-so did. It wasn't the bridge's fault. It's your fault. You didn't wear a night guard, but it might be the dentist. He may never even recommended an occlusal guard because he didn't know if the guy could pay for it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you first what I would do in my own mouth. Then we'll figure out what it costs. Then we'll figure out if you can afford it. And you can either afford it or you can't.
Right.
If you can't, that doesn't mean I kick you out the door. It means we come up with a newer treatment plan, something that is different, something that may be all about prevention to start with and getting out some abscess teeth and working our way along until we get dentistry that's going to be lifelong dentistry.
Right.
But I just don't know. I just think the average dentist out there, their thought process is really wrong. I think you should be thinking, if you educate the patient, there's a good chance that whatever I do, you're 29 years old, there's a good chance that crown should last the rest of your life. And you're thinking, really?
Yeah.
No, really. I've got crowns been in my mouth for 35, 45, 50 years, and you see patients that have that. Somebody somewhere along the line helped them understand what it took.
Right.
Go do conventional gum surgery and then see if they don't start flossing and cleaning better. Some do, some don't.
Right.
The ones who do still have teeth. The ones who don't, hasta la vista, baby. That's it.
So the other thing that all this made me think of was by putting the onus back on the patient, by educating them, by giving them the tools, it also gives you permission to present larger cases. Mm-hmm. Because the scary part with a large case is when things don't go perfectly. And so, resetting the patient's expectations, kind of letting them know the complications, letting them know this is like, I think today you said, if something's going to take 6 months, tell them it's going to take 9. If something's going to take 12, tell them it's going to take 18.
You bet.
So by lowering expectations, putting the ownership back on them, that opens you up to present larger things and say, you know what? This is what I would do in my mouth. Here are our options, and here's how to take care of it.
It could take us 4 months or 4 years. It's totally up to you. We can do it at whatever pace you want to. I've had people say, well, let's do it. How many appointments? I just want to do it. If we can do it in 2 appointments, I'm ready.
Right.
I said, well, we're going to have to take a few more than that. But, then I've had other people say, well, there's just no way. Could we do it over a period of time? Sure. I'll just do whatever we need to do. I think about it, and just like I tell them, I tell people what I would do in my own mouth if I was in their situation to the best of my knowledge. Right. I just don't have any money. Well, this is what I would do then. I would use the rinses. I would do this. I would come in for my cleanings, and I'd get these bad teeth out that are going to stand a chance of giving you a heart attack or a stroke.
Right.
And then as we move forward, we'll work towards that. Yeah, maybe they have insurance. We use that as a down payment. Now we can do some financing for $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. So now I'm able to do dentistry. But the biggest joke right now in dentistry is all these crowns, 95 crowns out of 100 being done one at a time. That's
right.
A joke. Give me a break. A patient needs 5 crowns and you're going to do one every year for 5 years and you think you're doing them a favor? The only reason you're doing it is because you don't know how to sell a case anyway. It's the easiest way to just say, oh, insurance. But the truth is insurance is not even covering I mean, the patient's still having to come out of pocket
Right.
with $400, $500, $600.
And if any of those requires a root canal, if any of those require, periodontal surgery, they're out of their benefit in that year anyways, and they're going to have to cover some out of pocket.
Totally hosed. So I would rather look at it and say, if I've got $1,500 and I could do something like a compassionate finance or something like that, my own financing, I can go up 5 times that. So, I mean, $7,500 worth of financing, I got $1,500 down, bingo.
Right.
I got 20% down. So what if they don't pay? Well, I got $1,500. It's not the end of the world, but what I do know is the interest off of the ones who do pay, the algorithm is crystal clear that you make more money the more people you help.
Yeah.
And the algorithm's crystal clear. Even the worst credit people, 80% of them pay full term. And that means 20% default. Some doctors.
And that's on the worst, you're saying?
Oh, yeah. It's the worst. It's the ease.
Let's talk about this. So, if someone is not on board with coming up with another patient finance option, so let's talk about comprehensive finance.
Yeah.
Why did this, or compassionate finance?
Yep.
Why did this come about? Why did you say, let's build a company that can provide an alternative solution to what Care Credit's doing, what patients have available to them already?
More than anything, it's not really an alternative solution to Care Credit. Care Credit is third-party financing. It's bank financing. It's bank funding. It's, there's Green Sky. There's a bunch of them out there. And it's banks loaning money to people who usually have money.
Right.
And what do you do for the ones who don't? What do you do for the ones who don't have the 670 credit score, 680? And I hear people on the Facebook groups, they pay $50,000 for people down to 530. No, they don't.
Right.
I don't care what you're saying. They do not pay down to 530.
530 as a credit score is not going to get anyone anything with the traditional institution.
And it's just not going to happen. And so, yes, it does. And they, you just have to live it long enough. And banks are pretty much going to do the same thing. Some might go 72 months, some might go 60, some may charge you a 10% discount, some might be 8, some might say it's only 3 if you do it this way. So they're all trying to gimmick the game, but the truth is they know statistically they're going to get paid because otherwise they go out of business.
Right.
They're putting cash up. We're not. And that's why you asked that question earlier when we were off air, but you said, I'm worried about it because with all the regulations for lending.
This was my biggest concern was that if because I've seen payment options for patients where you just spread it out and you charge their debit or their credit card. So you're kind of just running a card for 6 months or 9 months or whatever it is. So that's one option and you're not charging interest. And my gut reaction was, if you start charging interest, don't you become a bank? Aren't you subject to regulations?
You would think so.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, basically because there's no money transfer because you're carrying your own paper. This is a retail installment agreement. That's what this is. So it's like, I'm going to do work, you're going to pay me, and there is interest involved. Now, I will tell you that one thing that comprehensive finance has done is we know the rules and regs in all 50 states. So yes, it's not the old Wild West out there.
Right.
But it is for a lot of guys who do their own. And I'm not saying it's wrong. Could you figure it out? Yeah, you can figure it out. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science if I can figure it out, but I figured it out for all 50 states. And why? Because I wanted dentists to be able to have this option. And again, we've done over $370 million in notes over 50,000 patients.
That's
so
amazing.
We've been down the road over the last 9 years. But the interesting thing is, for instance, I had a guy in Michigan said, I've been doing this for years, Doc. After I was lecturing, he goes, this is awesome. I love it. And I said, you've been doing it? He goes, yeah. I've got over $2 million in paper. I said, really? What are they paying you? What interest? He goes, 18%. He's got $2 million in paper paying 18%.
Wow.
And I went, you have got to be kidding me. I said, well, let me tell you, I don't want to scare you, but in Michigan, you can't charge 18%. Yeah, I think it's like 7, plus you can get a 2% on a origination fee, which helps you, gets you to 9 or whatever. And that may have changed. Charlie can tell me. But I said, so in today's social media world, if one person knew that you were charging above usury, they could actually come after your butt and say, you could have a class action lawsuit on your hand for those people with $2 million. And gosh, so he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Right.
But he knows it works.
Right.
But it's just, we don't know the rules and regs. And that's the reasons why we have never done it before. The reason we have never done it because we never did our own financing is because we don't know what the rules are, how to charge interest and how to do it right. And again, we don't fall under Dodd-Frank legislation because we're just servicing the note that you made with a patient.
Right.
We know the rules in the states. We've been told not to do it by third party because they think by some reason that we're going to interrupt their deal, but we're not. I mean, most of our stuff is subprime.
Right.
I mean, I'd say 90% of ours is subprime. So my question is, what are you doing for subprime patients? And I've had ADA trustee come to a booth one time and say, I just tell them to get the hell out. If they can't afford my dentistry, then I want them out. Well, this is an ADA trustee, and I'm going, okay, but I have better options. I mean, I want to think differently. I want to be able to help people that need the help. And I always use the adage, I said, what house would you be living in if you had to pay cash? What car would you be driving if you had to pay cash?
Right.
What kind of dentistry would you do if you had to pay cash? Well, that's what we're asking patients. You pay cash or you go down the road.
Right.
Well, why not have, and I'm not putting up money. I'm putting up time. And dentists always say, well, my time's very valuable. I go, no, your time is worth what your time is worth, whatever it is. The average dentist in the country's time is worth $405 an hour. Some other dentist might be $800 an hour. Somebody else might be $1,100 an hour. But let me tell you, if you've got the average person has 23% of their time open, and that's way, way low. I think it should be 50% of their time open. So what are you doing with that time open? Well, I'm working on subprime patients. Why? Because I'm getting their insurance. They're making monthly payments. I'm getting to do the dentistry. I'm covering all my hard costs with the down payment. So my time value goes way up. And my time value is not about just the $1,500 I got from the insurance company, because that $1,500 takes me 2 hours. That's $750 an hour. That's $345 more than the average dentist produces.
Right.
Not collects. He produces that. And so now I'm sitting here already got a guaranteed check for $1,500. Right. But I also picked up high-value, short-duration paper, paying out, on average, about 13.9% interest for an average across the country of about 37 months. Well, where are you going to get that? Where are you going to find an investment that you can get 13.7% interest? Well, what if they don't pay me?
You've already collected the $1,500.
You collected the $1,500, and people say, what if they don't pay me? Well, I should have gotten all my money. Well, you should have, but the truth is the interest off the ones who pay offsets the losses that you have. Banks know that. That's why they have the big buildings. Which is why we charge interest. That's why the big buildings are in all the major cities. Right. You go down, Bank One building, the banks, whatever. That's because they understand interest, and we don't.
Right.
And, so we're not in competition with Care Credit. We're not in competition with Green Sky or any of those guys. I'm showing docs how to produce $1,200 an hour, $1,500 an hour, $2,000 an hour, of which $750 or $1,000 is cash pay, and the rest is high-value, short-duration paper, which, by the way, as you build that up, becomes an asset. It's not a liability. It's not an accounts receivable. It's not something you could take that paper, and it's yours. It's not comprehensive finance. It's your paper. You could take that to the bank and say, I've got $1.7 million, which this has happened, by the way, but $1.7 million at 13.9% interest that's performing at this rate. I'd like to use it as collateral. Any bank in the country is going to go, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and how much are you going to get? Well, you're not going to get 1.7 million, but, if you picked up 1.2, 1.1, and it's collateralized by your notes,
right.
Now you can go build another office. You can go on a yacht for, for 6 months instead of just 3 weeks. You can do whatever you want because it's your money.
One of the things that I actually forgot about design ergonomics that I was reminded of recently was that there's a history between Dr. Scott Luna and Breakaway Seminars and Dr. David Ahern and design ergonomics. So if you go back to the threads on Dentaltown, originally where Dr. Luna laid out his first practice that he designed from scratch and did that startup, he used design ergonomics to design his office nearly a decade ago, and he continues to reference them in his seminars today. And you guys know I love overlapping, reinforcing opinions, and these two companies, Design Ergonomics and Breakaway Seminars, are united on so many things, and they are all about rethinking dental office design, maximizing the return on your investment, and the ability to get into your own practice sooner rather than later, and doing so via efficient design. They share central stocking, rear delivery, the layout of operatories, and the amount of space that you can get into a given square footage. They're on board. The other thing you guys know I love is contrasting opinions. So if two people agree on 95% of the things, I love to know what they disagree on and why, and that's okay. For example, when it comes to delivery, so where the handpieces are, Breakaway preaches rear delivery off a do-it-yourself head wall and some low-cost equipment solutions. And while this is extremely economical, this method can have an impact on your career longevity because of the ergonomics. In contrast, Design Ergonomics recommends over-the-head delivery that allows for more ergonomic efficiency, which provides the dual benefit of improved health and significantly higher productivity. While the Ergo solution is marginally more expensive at launch, they have seen offices both increase production and have enhanced profitability that easily allows them to recoup the costs down the road. To learn more about different delivery system layouts and how they can impact your practice, go to desergo.com, desergo.com/delivery-systems. And on that site, they've got all 4 delivery systems: over the patient, side delivery, rear delivery, and over the head. No matter what you end up going with, Design Ergonomics is going to help you implement it in the most efficient way possible. For maximum discounts and savings, be sure to mention that you're a Shared Practices podcast listener when you go to designergonomics.com. So there's 2 ways that really helped my brain get over this, well, you're not going to collect all your money issue. One was when Dr. Scott Luna talked about this, of having a payment option for patients who have money and credit, a payment option for patients who don't have money but they have credit, and then a payment option for patients who have no money and no credit, and you've got openings in your schedule. So that's one thing, is having open capacity.
Sure.
You're paying for your fixed cost no matter what. And so if you have open chair time, even if you just collected the down payment and you didn't collect any of the remaining payments, even if they just walked away and you never saw them again, they never paid another dime, you're coming out ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, offices, there's one office in particular I talked about today, but if you fog a mirror, you got approved for comp finance, but
Sure.
compassionate finance, but the truth is they were getting $1,500 off every insurance that came through. They make more now. Well, within 3 years, they were making more with their down payments than they used to produce. That's not the case anymore because they've grown such enormous levels. But it's really about helping people. And the truth is, people get all bent out of shape. Oh, yeah, but you're charging them interest and all that. I go, dude. If they go down to get a car that they could drive, those guys are gouging them at like 29%,
right.
32% to give them a car that they can drive.
Right.
Well, what about giving them teeth that they can eat with?
Right.
What about doing that? We're no different than houses, cars, and teeth. But we've gotten this deal out there that says, oh no, if they don't qualify for third-party financing, then they're not a good risk. That's total BS. It's just not. It's just not true.
Right.
I know it's not true to the tune of $370 million and 50,000 patients. So I know it's not true.
Right.
And so anybody who's telling you that is, they're FOS. They just don't know what they're talking about. And how many of us had a great business lessons in dental school? Most of us didn't. So we don't know. And I certainly didn't. When we first started Compassionate Finance, I really had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
I didn't know it was I didn't know if it was legal. I didn't know, what it was going to look like. But by golly, I spent an enormous amount of money to
Right.
make sure we had usury covered, that we had people like DLA Piper, who's one of the largest attorney firms in the country, looking at it and saying, yeah, you guys don't fall under Dodd-Frank.
Right.
So, because there's no money changing hands. So, we slip into this area that is extremely lucrative for the dentist and extremely lucrative for the patient because they can actually get their work done.
Get care done.
And
Do it in less time. So that was the
time.
other part of this was, one scenario is you have open capacity and you're like, okay, it's really easy to see how this would absolutely cover the cost, even if they never paid, but they are going to pay. We know they're going to pay.
Yeah, percentage.
The other situation is they're going to do more dentistry in less appointments because they can afford, and they don't want to be there for 10 visits. They'd rather get it done in 3. They'd rather get it done in 2. And so if you can do all of their dentistry at once, they're better off. You're better off. You're able to produce more per hour. And so between those two things, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, let's just use an example. I mean, and I've never really talked about this, but it just came to my mind. Let's just say you were the national average dentist doing $405 an hour,
okay.
$600,000 a year, and you had hygiene doing $150,000, so you're doing $750,000 a year. What if you could still do $405 an hour, but you could get high-value, short-duration paper of another $1,000 an hour? Now, that's $8,000 a day. That's 4 days a week. That's $32,000 a week. That's $128,000 a month. How many of those would have to default for you to want to go back to just doing 405?
Right.
$128,000 of high-value, short-duration paper. You're doing your average of 405.
Right.
How many would have to default that are doing this paper?
Even if 90% defaulted,
if
you'd still be
90%
fine.
defaulted, you're kicking it.
Yeah.
But dentists will sign up very quickly for a PPO that reduces their fee by 40%, but bitch in a not necessarily a fee-for-service environment, but even in a PPO environment where a company's taking 7% interest for collecting it for them. Oh, wait a minute. You just gave up 40% for somebody saying they're going to send you new patients.
Right.
So wait a minute. You know, if you want to know what your marketing budget is, figure out how much you're spending on PPO write-offs, which is the highest overhead item in dental practices today. Figure out how much of that, if you took that and put that into a marketing campaign, the money you're writing off and you just went fee-for-service, you'd be done.
Right.
5 years, 8 years, 10 years, you'd be finished.
Right.
Now, what would I do? If I was just opening up a practice, I would do very similar. I would open up. If I'm a young dentist right out of school, I would focus on an 8% budget for education. So 8% of my budget would be education. I'd do that for 5 years. I'd sign up for the PPOs. I'd sign up for the plans. I want patients coming in. I might use compassionate finance on some. I might not. If they need it, I would. So I do that for 5 years.
Okay.
I then convert at the end of 5 years, and I look at it and I say, okay, which one of these PPOs do I need to start dropping? Because now I'm going to spend my 8% that was education budget because now I want to know how to do implants. I want to know how to do these things. And as I got bigger, I got to spend more on my education. At the end of 5 years, now I'm spending 8% on marketing. 8% marketing budget is substantial.
Yeah.
I've been spending 8% for 20 years. So when I was doing $100,000 a month, I was marketing at $8,000. When we started doing $200, I'm at $16,000. When I'm doing $300, $400, $500. My marketing budget now is so ridiculous that I could have every billboard in Granbury, Texas. I wouldn't do that, but now I'm able to affect other avenues like radio, endorse spots, and I can ask people to come see us from 100 miles away, and they come. And have the technology that we have and do all the things that we're able to do. So I would have a strategy that says, yes, if I'm just opening straight up and I didn't have cash, which I didn't when I opened up, got out of the Army, I did an SBA loan.
Right.
The guy told me, all you need is $200,000 down. I was like, where am I going to get that? I was only making $28,000 a year, for 4 years. I mean, that was double my pay for the 4 years of the service.
Right.
But the truth is, I would have a strategy that says, I certainly would not want to write off 40% of my dentistry for the rest of my career. So I'd want to have, and that's what we do at PDA. We work with docs, give you something to start with, work your way out of it. There may be one or two PPOs that are good. You've been able to negotiate good fees. Hang on. Go for it.
Right.
But where are you going to market? 55 and older. Why? Because they're the ones who have the money, and they're the ones who need the dentistry done.
Absolutely.
So, I want all 27-year-olds that have 3 kids. But I'm a dentist.
They don't need any dentistry.
And I don't like working on kids.
Right.
But that's what I want. I want to call up, I can name a bunch of names, but I can call them up and I can have new patients coming in left and right. I don't want new patients coming in left and right. I want old people with train wrecks, because of my experience.
Right.
Now, if I didn't know how to do implants, didn't know how to do Lanap surgery, didn't know how to do grafting, didn't know how to do all those things, well, then I'd want a different clientele.
Sure.
But when I spend my money, I want to spend it on stuff that I want to do.
Right.
When we do that, bingo, case acceptance becomes much easier.
That's awesome. Well, I loved that plan of how to kind of bake your education, your marketing budget, a 5-year plan. I love that. So hopefully some of our listeners will take that and we'll get a 5-year report here.
That'd be awesome. I mean, I really do. And what I had to do is I had to think for myself, kind of what would I do in today's environment?
Yeah.
What would I do if I was opening up? And I didn't have money.
Sure.
And if I wasn't flush with cash, and I do exactly what I'm telling you, which is exactly what I tell patients. If I didn't have a pot to pee in, this is how I do my dentistry.
Right.
I would first stop drinking the Dr. Pepper. I would use the rinses. I would get my teeth cleaned on a regular basis because it's the least costly for the biggest bang for your buck, and I'd get out my abscessed teeth. Okay. Or if I had unlimited funds, I'd get my new smile,
right,
or whatever.
Right.
So, but I mean, everything's different. But I think you have to have a plan, especially when you're coming out of school, coming out of the service. Have a plan, stick to it, and get as much education. My first 5 years, oh my gosh, and I've still done that for 40 years. I've gone to programs and programs and programs, and I love it.
I was dying today when you were saying that you said you just retired within the last couple months from dentistry.
Yeah, a week ago.
Congrats, by the way.
Thanks.
You were saying that you're watching Baron Grutter's 3D printing stuff, and your wife's looking over like, what are you doing?
You're crazy. You're retired. I said, I'm not dead because I love dentistry, and I love what Baron's doing, man. I mean,
awesome.
What he and Danny and Dominguez, those guys are doing.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerome Smith. Jerome and I have been friends for 35 years.
No way.
Yeah, we met at Alabama Implant Study Group in Birmingham, Alabama, 35 years ago. So
that's awesome.
We've been buddies, and I mean, what he does is amazing. But that whole group, but I want to keep learning. I'm not dead, and I may just one day wake up and say I want to go back and do surgeries because I love surgery. But it's my time, and after 40 years and being having 11 grandkids, and I didn't get to spend as much time with my younger kids.
Sure.
And now I'm getting to spend an enormous amount of time with them as they're older and with their kids.
Right.
And it's not a substitute for being able to spend time. And one other thing I have to mention, which is very cool about the younger dentist generation. I see more docs now. Everybody used to come in when we started PDA. It's all about production. It's all about production. And I would tell them, well, it was for me a little bit, but it also gave me time. I showed where I took off an extra half day a week as my production grew. Now I've got docs that are 37 years old, 41 years old, that are working 2.5 days a week, 3 days a week, that are producing 1.4, 1.8. So, I mean, just their production, not counting hygiene.
Right.
They're killing it, but they're also getting to spend time with their family.
Right.
And they're getting to spend time with kids. And they're getting to do those things that I didn't have the knowledge or the thought process or I thought I just had to work my butt off because that's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And so I think that's one really awesome thing that I see the younger generation of dentists coming in. They have a lot more life balance, I think, they have more life balance than I had. That's all I can say,
Yeah, well, and you're giving them the tools to do that, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's I just love seeing it because, it can be tough when you're working all the time and it causes a lot of family conflict. It causes divorce. It causes all these things that many, many, many dentists go through. And if I can help one dentist not go through that, I love where I'm at now, but if I could help one dentist not go through that, first of all, you'll get to 1 million a lot faster.
Sure.
But if that's your goal, but you'll also get to help more people, your kids, and it's just going to be a better life.
Well, and I love that. I love your perspective on giving back, helping, and really, at this point, that's what productive dentist is all about. The thing that surprised me the most today was that I had a little bit of an impression after seeing your material online and listening to stuff. I'm like, okay, compassionate finance, it's all about, financial options. The thing I saw today, which I thought was so relevant to case acceptance, was how much you care about relationships and patients and doing the best for them and communicating that. And today I saw that and I realized, okay, this is not a company that's all about, charging interest and patient finance. Yeah. This is a company that's all about doing more good for more patients.
Right.
And being able to communicate that concern and build those relationships. I think a lot of dentists don't have the skill set to do that. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're too stressed, or they don't have enough time to sit down and get to know their patients. But to wrap us up today, talk to us about building relationships with patients. Why is that so important and counterintuitive to like the high five rapport thing that we tend to do?
Yeah, I think, the relationship issue is different than rapport, because rapport is that 30,000 foot. I want to get to know you, and I really do care, and I want to find out all about it. But our real rubber meets the road is when we are in a relationship, which is an agreed upon course of action between two parties, where we say, I can do some dentistry for you you're just gonna freaking love.
Right.
And if you'll do this, and this, it's going to last the rest of your life.
Right.
And that's a fun place. But I think probably more important than anything than telling people what they have wrong with them is educating them. And you can educate even the non-engineer patients. You can still educate them and tell them about the risk factors and why they've had problems in the past. Your best patients are the ones who already have root canals, teeth missing, all that. They're the perfect patients. Yeah, I had a crown there and it broke, and then I had this and that didn't work, and then I had that. So I say, Richard, you've spent a lot of money in your mouth over the years. And they go, oh my gosh, I've spent a fortune. I said, it hadn't really got you anywhere, has it? Well, no. And I go, I'll tell you what, let's look at it different. Let's just think different. Let me tell you what I always look at. And then I go through these risk factors that John Coyce so, eloquently describes. And by the time I'm finished doing that, they're going like, wow, why hasn't anybody else told me that?
Sure.
Because I want to be a consultant to them. I don't want to be telling them what they need to do. I want to be your consultant and say, this is what I'd do if it was me. You can do whatever you want. You know what? It's not my problem. But you can do whatever you want. But I would quit drinking the sodas. And I'd wear the night guard, and I'd show up for my appointments. And what dentistry I do, I'll stand by.
Right.
And we're going to have a great relationship. It's going to be fun. And patients are so frustrated with dentists and dentistry,
right,
failing over and over and over and over again. When they have somebody who gives them a thought that it could last a lifetime. Because people have money or don't have money. It doesn't matter. People with money don't like wasting it either.
Right.
I think we get the wrong concept here. people who have money, they're pissed off.
Yeah.
They're sick and tired of spending money on their mouth and having it fail. But if I'm telling them, I said, look, this is why it failed. Really? Well, nobody said anything to me about that. Yeah, they may have, but you forgot.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, I'm gonna remind you of it every single time you come in, because that's being a leader. That's holding people accountable. So I love relationships. I love building relationships. I like working on patients that are my friends. And I just like being honest with people about what's going on. And compassionate finance is a great option to be able to help people get dentistry done. What's not a great option is to say, let's do one crown a year for 10 years. And get your work done, because you're not doing anybody any favors at all. And a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that work's going to fail.
Right.
Because you didn't take the time to tell them why it happened and what's happening. So that's my deal. And if I can just stick with that, telling people what I'd do if it was me, then it takes me off the hot seat. Because I can just be honest with people and say, this is what I find. And boy, when people hear that from you, they will say yes to treatment all day long. And it's not really about, I sit down one visit with no models, no nothing. I know what I want to do. And I give a $50,000 treatment plan, and they say yes. $60,000, they say yes. And that's in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. They're not making the decision based on the cost,
right,
or based on anything that has technical. It's based on their trust in you and them believing that you have their best interest at heart. And when they believe that, they'll spend the money.
Right.
And our deal then is to hold them accountable, to make sure they show up for their recare as best we can, make sure they're using the rinses, make sure they're doing all the things that we want them to do, and then to do the best dentistry we can possibly do. that's our responsibility, is to do dentistry at the highest level we can. Now, will some of that still fail? Yep, and I'll just replace it, no problem. If I think it's anything that had to do with something I did, it's just no charge, let's do it. Don't even think about it.
Right.
But I'm not going to redo stuff that's not my fault. And so as long as I can hold them accountable, we're all on the same page. And it's all about that. It's all about relationships.
That's so awesome. This, I highly, highly recommend anyone who hasn't taken PDA, one of your courses, who hasn't heard you lecture, in some way, shape, or form, come listen to Bruce. Come listen to Dr. Baird. This is like the plug zone time for you. Where's the best place for people to find you online, to find your company? I love, I had an hour conversation with Reagan Robertson.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
I love the company that you've built, the people that you have, and the attitudes and the charity mindedness, all of these things that you guys have. Yep. How can people get to know more about you, about Productive Dentist Academy, and about Comprehensive Finance?
ProductiveDentist.com.
Okay.
You can go to that. We've got a robust website that you can go through and look at a lot of people, what they've said about it, what we've done, and you can talk to Chris Moriarty. Chris is probably one of the smartest people I know. Period. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet him, but
oh
my gosh, when you meet him,
the name has come up so many times.
You're gonna freak out because the guy is brilliant, and he does a lot of things for our company. And we started, it was just myself and one other person. Then I brought Vicki in about the second year, and then now we have 43 or 44 employees across the country, and now our employees are owners of the company. So
you were saying that today. They bought in.
We actually formed an ESOP, and so now we've got an employee-owned company, which is something I always wanted to do, because I always thought, I know how it is when you're an associate, what you produce, and when you're an owner. Owners always go up in production. And so, and I think anybody that feels like ownership, they have ownership. That's one of the secrets in a dental practice. My team feels like they have ownership. They don't, because I don't know how that would work in ESOP in a small dental practice.
Sure.
But I want them to feel that they have ownership with bonuses or whatever it is. The better we do, the better they do.
Right.
And then Comprehensive Finance, you can go to compassionatefinance.com or abellaar.com. Those are both two different products, or comprehensivefinance.com, any one of those.
We'll put all those in the show notes so people can just click on those. And
But there's a lot of things going on out there. We're rocking and rolling, and we've got some new software coming out here soon that's going to help dentists and help us get better case acceptance and have more compassionate finance to do and help more people. So that's, to me, I've been blessed with just great skills and great verbal skills. That's just was kind of on my plate. I was very fortunate, but I had to learn to speak a couple different languages, like engineer. That's a different language for me. And I had to learn to speak, little old lady talk, and I had to learn to speak some different languages. But I tell you what, if you take the time to do it, you're going to find people saying yes, as a matter of fact, so fast that you'll find your growth just exponential. And that's why our practice for the last 35 years has grown every year. And, now I put the handpiece up, which I told today my two busiest months in 40 years were the last 2 months. And so I'm thinking that may be a new strategy. It may be the going out of business sales strategy for any dentist. Do it every 4 years. You'll be way productive.
That's perfect. They're like, hey, I didn't know you were retiring. I got to get all this work done.
I can't tell you how many veneers and how much aesthetic work I did, and how many implant cases I did. It's just like, oh, wait a minute, where are you going?
Yeah.
I go, I'm hanging it up. Oh no.
Yeah.
So anyway, fun. It was fun. So great team.
Well, congratulations once again.
Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thank you for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun.
You bet. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Take care.
Buddy. All right.
Okay, that was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know Dr. Bruce Baird personally during his course, an amazing educator, and more than anything, I just got the real sense that PDA, Bruce, Vicki, everyone else who's involved care about their patients. They care about the dentists who show up at their course. And ironically, that caring is what allows them to be more productive. They care about people and they care about the results that those people get, and people sense that. And if that can be communicated in the way that you interact with patients in the dentistry that you're doing, you're going to do better and you're going to be more productive. And you can do that in the right way as well to also be more efficient. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to be a productive dentist and make more money, so I'm going to have to either cut corners or do things faster and not up to quality. It's not that at all. It's all about getting your same patients to do more of the treatment that they already need all at once, and doing it in a way that they can tell that you do legitimately care about them. So anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Go check out productivedentistacademy.com. Check out their podcast that they have. And if you have a chance to go take one of their courses, for me, it was extremely inspirational and got me excited to start tracking my own production and seeing over time if I can start improving where I'm at and getting better, which especially after 6 months of not seeing patients and now just getting started in private practice here, I have a lot of growth to do. I have a lot of road to gain. So I'm right there with you. So anyways, thank you guys for listening. We'll have another interview with Vicki McManus coming out here soon. It was a marketing breakout session in the PDA course, and it doesn't fit in the case acceptance theme, but we're going to have kind of a break between seasons. This is kind of wrapping up the case acceptance season. We might have one more episode from Dan Pink, the author and TED speaker. If I can get him on the phone in August, we'll have a little flashback case acceptance episode. But other than that, we're wrapping up this season. So we're going to do a little break here where for a couple episodes, we'll update previous guests that we've had. We will as well just kind of fit in some other things that haven't fit in the past. And then we've got some exciting new things that are going to be starting here in August. So thank you guys for everything, for listening, for the reviews, for reaching out and getting to know you guys. We will talk with you next week on the Shared Practices podcast.